they half-fast fixed this Hitachi 200, or I guess in Europe they would call this a 210, but here we just call it a 200. It's a ZX or ZX 200 LC. Long stick, long boom. Anyway, I had the oil just pissing out of the main valve bank. There's a steel cover plate. There's 3 or 4 of them on that main valve bank, and they hold in a spring, and I guess that spring holds a valve, I think it is. And somehow, some way, I don't exactly understand, but I'm sure it's something to do with overworking the machine. But a valve holding that, one of the steel plates, or a bolt holding that steel plate down broke. Sheared the head right off somehow, and it's not like something was whipping around back there or anything. I mean, everything else was, you know, just peachy keen, but this bolt snapped off like a toothpick, or the head of it did, so it squirted oil all over the place. When the mechanic came by with his tools and took it off, we found that the spring behind it was actually broken. The O-ring itself was fine. Nothing wrong with the O-ring. So, because he didn't have a replacement spring, we took off the broken piece of the spring, put the O-ring back in, found a couple of new bolts. We didn't reuse the one that wasn't broken because it was already bent, and put it back together, tightened it up, put some oil back in the tank, and here she is running fine. I hope it stays that way. I'm keeping my eye on it, because if you can see my camera here, you'll see it looks pretty oily and dirty back there. So basically all we're doing here is we're taking what's this clay dike here, or clay and topsoil dike. Usually topsoil will be stripped for a dike, but because it was an emergency, they just dug 2 ditches on either side of where this dike was going with excavators like this one, and dozers, bailed it up, made it as thick as the province required it, and track packed it with the dozers, and then prayed to God that it held. In the end, I don't think they got much water around here. It was almost a futile attempt, but wish these things had a longer reach. But anyway, yeah. Now we're taking her down. All the topsoil's mixed up. It's not like you can just go in there and separate it. I mean, you're seeing for yourself how wet and sticky this clay is. So it's not like you can go run it through a screen plant, because all you get is turds. So we're throwing it back in the hole. I'll just view over this way. There's a ditch. That's a drainage ditch. And then there's the borrow pit for one side, and then there's the borrow pit full of water on the other side, and a couple birds chasing each other. And that's some other drainage ditch they dug. I don't know if they did that last year or this year, but either way, that's the way she goes. I'm thinking this guy's getting more than enough clay on this side. I'm going to put more on the other side. That's a D6M LGP. I might have mentioned that earlier. Can't remember. It's an alright machine. It's a bit worn out. I don't, like I've said in other videos, I don't run that kind of dozer very much. For me, I just like a dozer with a regular straight blade. You know, maybe you can dip it down. Ooh, there's a big dragonfly right there. Oh, he went away. Lots of big dragonflies. With all this water we've had the last few years, they're able to breed at an exponential rate, which is a good thing because they eat all the mosquitoes. Because when you got lots of standing water, you get lots of mosquitoes. This is the problem to get them, because sometimes we're the size of Chinook helicopters. But anyway, getting back to it, I kind of prefer a dozer with just a regular straight blade, like a D7 or a D8. I don't like Cat's new controls. Those 2 little paddles on the left hand. That bugs me. the dragonflies on the camera. So you guys get to see the bottom end of a dragonfly. They get here in this part of Canada, they get to be, I'd say, maybe up to 8 inches long by maybe a quarter, maybe 8, yeah, about a quarter inch wide at the widest, usually at the eyes, because they have those big compound eyes. I don't know what you can see of them. Oh, there he goes. But when there's dragonflies around, you don't usually get that many mosquitoes. At least that's what I've been told. I don't know. But I think they sure are nice bugs. I always feel guilty when I get a windshield full of them going down the highway. And I made a little ditch into this bigger ditch, or little tickle ditch, to drain some of that groundwater out and rainwater. I have to go dig another one pretty soon and get it all to go. It's almost one of those jobs that'd be better with a bunch of D8s and scrapers and a couple of these wide pad dozers with the 6-way blades on them. That way they could load and carry and kind of pack the material down a little bit. And if things ever dried up enough, you could come out here with a couple of graders and trim it up real nice. Right now, I don't know how it looks on the camera, but very wet material down there, very sticky. So getting any kind of wheeled equipment in here is, yeah. The mechanic was able to get his pickup truck up here, but you wouldn't want to make more than one trip if you had to. Hopefully this thing doesn't start leaking. We're kind of worried that that little steel cap was warped. But usually he's a shop mechanic, so he doesn't have all his tools with him, just a wrench and a socket set basically. Most times here in Manitoba, when we do any kind of digging in the summer season, we use tilting buckets. And they're nice because it doesn't matter what angle the machine's sitting at, you can always make your bucket level. So you always have a level cut. Or if you want, you can slope and level banks and all kinds of great things like that. But once in a while, just a big cleanup bucket like this is nice. Big mass excavating bucket, provided you can get the clay out. Always getting the mud out is a whole other story. I got this window open here, maybe I'll angle the camera down a little bit for you, so you got a nice view. Oh, there's some little minnows or something down there. Trying to swim against the little current there. Well, isn't that cool? I love wildlife. Sure like these Hitachi machines more than the John Deere ones. The John Deere ones, they put a John Deere diesel engine in them up to a certain size. I can't remember what size it is, but when it's just Hitachi, they got these nice supply to Isuzus in them. They don't drink gallons of fuel like the Cat machines or the John Deere ones. And I think these motors last longer from what I've heard, provided you do your proper scheduled maintenance. I just like the orange paint better too. That's me, I always like that fire engine red kind of look. I'll bail up a big pile here and get that Cat operator out of my hair for a bit. This is a different outfit than I was working for early in spring when I was working on that portage diversion. These guys are much nicer, a little more down to earth, and maybe a little bit cheaper, but whatever, you gotta take it with the beats, whatever the fucking saying is. I'm starting to sound like Ricky here from Trailer Park Boys, but a little bit easier going. You don't necessarily listen to me any more than anybody else does, but what else is new? All I know is at the end of the day here, I'm going to give this nice machine, not really well taken care of machine, a good grease job, because I hate hearing joints creak and squeak, and 3,400 hours, linkages shouldn't be this worn out. I think if I was ever to get my own machine and have a fleet of operators looking after them, I would get an auto greaser on each machine for the extra couple of grand or whatever it is that it costs. At least I always know the machine's getting greased, or that, or it hire an oiler. So I hate it when people don't grease their machine. That pisses me off. And that's a laser receiver on the side of the stick there. For whatever reason, management says that they want us to have a laser going and watch the grade here, but I mean, it's pretty easy to tell, and the CAD operator cleans it up pretty good, and we can tell what's level. Plus, this is all going to settle because it's all wet mud, and we're not packing it. The best compaction it gets is from a wide pad dozer. That's the other 200. That's from a company that's allied with my company. He's got a rock up on top of that other side of the dike there, and I think he's got one of those Velcro Beal style tilt buckets, and they're not really made for gumbo all that well. In fact, they have aluminum bushings on tilt cylinders and the main pivot point, which is stupid because it's always running in mud all the time, or dirt. But anyways, he gets his bucket jammed up with mud every now and then, and he takes that pet rock and he just taps the bucket on it. Not hard, you don't have to go bang, bang, bang. You just tap the bucket, and then it shakes out. Well, I think that's it for videos today, or for this little while. Not particularly exciting. Hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.